Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we are going to be looking at some inks that I picked up for Fountain Pen Day, for 2022 Fountain Pen Day, celebrated on the first Friday in November. So it took place this year. I tried to be a little bit more restrained, and just end up with a little couple inks and one pen that's still on the way. If you don't know what Fountain Pen Day is, a little brief intro for Fountain Pen Day. So you can see sort of the info up there. You can look up what Fountain Pen Day is. They have cool little swag and stuff that come in orders and stuff on Fountain Pen Day. They also usually on at pen shows and stuff. But Fountain Pen Day started in 2012. And it's a retail holiday to support and celebrate stationery businesses, makers, creators, that sort of thing, in the stationery world, fountain pens, inks, paper, all that stuff. It's celebrated worldwide, as you can see there. It's celebrated worldwide, so it's, all sellers, all retailers, just about. And it's basically just a Black Friday event for the pen community where awesome deals can be had. People run lots of specials and giveaways, and there's a lot of excitement and stuff on Fountain Pen Day. So if you haven't heard of Fountain Pen Day, definitely check it out for next year. It's a really cool event and a really cool community sort of thing for the fountain pen community. Fun fact, I actually bought my first ever fountain pen over $50, and my first ever pen in general over $50 on Fountain Pen Day back when I was first getting into the hobby. So I got a special pen out of that. And this year, like I mentioned, I tried to be a little bit more strained because the last thing I need is more pens and inks. But I did end up with a couple inks and one pen that's still on the way. But I do have the inks, and so we'll be looking at those today. Just a quick swatch of them and see what we picked up, see how they are looking. So here's my samples. We'll go through those. And I'll sort of swatch them in two places. So I usually keep swatches of all my inks on this coloring card. These are great ways to keep track of all your inks and colors, and so you can compare and contrast and everything. So I have some cards left here, so I'll swab them up there so I can keep those for future reference. And then I'll also just keep them. I'll do a paper swab on some Tomoe River paper here, on what I usually do my currently inked in, but I'll just use a back side page just so we can get a look at what it looks like on fountain pen friendly paper, some Tomoe River old stock paper. All right, so where do we start? I think we'll start here. So this is my first ink sample. I got 4 ink samples and then 2 bottles. So I'll save the 2 bottles for the end. So my first sample is PenBBS number 342 Matcha Ice Cream. It's kind of a hard ink to get a hold of, but I've always been interested in this ink. I've always been trying to kind of find a good matcha ink color. I love matcha tea, matcha lattes, anything matcha flavored I'm into. So I've been trying to find an ink that kind of looks like that. So this one's called Matcha Ice Cream, so I figured it'd be a good one to test out and try. My problem with a lot of matcha, or a lot of like this color green, is it's a little too bright or too light for me to actually use. But we'll see what this one looks like. So, being very careful. And actually, before I do this, I'm going to get a coloring card ready, just so I can go right into swabbing both of them at the same time. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's 6. There we go. So I'll do swabs at the same time. So we'll try this again. I want to get a swab on the paper and a swab on the card. So we have our matcha ice cream. Get it. And these, I got these from Vanness. Vanness does 4 milliliter samples. So a good amount of ink that you get with it. And it does look like matcha. It looks like fresh good quality matcha. You can tell matcha quality just by the color of it. If it's bright and light like that, it's fresh and good matcha. If it's sort of dull and dingy colored, it's probably old or sort of second rate. And like I've mentioned before, I just do all my swabs with the cotton swab. I'm not too fancy or anything with that. I try to do one pass and then I'll do another little dot or two just to show it if it goes down heavy. All right. Get somewhere to put my Q-tips. And I usually wait to do the coloring cards until I have a pen inked up with it, just so I have a writing sample too. But I figured I'd go ahead and at least do the swatch so I don't have to wait for it to dry later when I ink it up in a pen. And I'll just label these with a good old Sharpie pen. So this is PenBBS 342 Matcha Ice Cream. All right, and I'll go back and you'll be able to see it once they're dry and everything. I'll show them there. So that's the first one. It's a good matcha color actually, and it's drying darker than it went down, so that's promising for sure. Next one I have is an ink I've been interested in for a long time as well, Rohrer and Klingner Sepia. I've always been on the hunt for a good, like, true sepia color. You'll find a lot of sepias that are like this light brown, almost kind of like this over here. But true sepia is actually like true sepia ink is made from cuttlefish ink, so it's really closer to like a brownish black. And so I think this one is going to be close to that. So we'll give it a try and see what it does. Sample vial. The good thing with samples is they don't take up a lot of space. It's just enough to get a fill or two or more. You can get 2 or 3 fills usually in a pen. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Right there. Nice and wet too. It's wetter than the PenBBS one, I can tell already. And I'm getting ink all over myself. I probably should have done separate Q-tips, but I'm trying to double up, reduce some waste here. And that's a really good sepia color. If you want like a real true sepia, this one is a good one. Another one that I want to try that looks really close is the Andelarium inks. They make a sepia, like a cuttlefish. I think they call it like cuttlefish or something. That looks like a true sepia, but that's really, really close to what a sepia ink, in my opinion at least, should look like. Rohrer and Klingner Sepia. So if this goes good in the pens, that might be one that I pick up a full bottle of for sure. And put that off to the side so it can dry. I don't know, running out of desk space quickly. That was Rohrer und Klingner Sepia. And I'm not too worried about my labeling here. It's just so I can keep the ink straight when I look at the big swatches. And so maybe I can match it up if I forget what the colorings are. All right, next one up. I've been on the hunt for a good orange. I have like apricot, which you can see in the corner over here, but it's just too bright and too like highlightery orange for me. I like a nice orange, like reddish orange or dark orange. So I'm going to try out KWZ Grapefruit. It looked like a nice reddish orange or orangish red. I don't know, we'll see. Get our card. And something I love about the KWZ, some people love it, some people hate it, is they smell like vanilla. They smell really good. It's just a nice calming smell for me. So we're going to give this one a dollop. And I like that. It's bright, but not too bright. It's readable. I think it'll dry a little darker too, like a little duller, which is what I like. Now the coloring. Get a nice good swatch. And then a couple darkers. I don't think this one has sheen, but we might be surprised. See what happens. And from first impressions, I really like that. That might be my orange. It might be just a little too red because it's going into more red orange than orange red. Or maybe it's the other way around. It's going into more of an orangey red than a reddish orange. But I think I'm going to like that. I'm going to cover up this spot. That's going to get on my nerves. Take that for over there. This one is our KWZ Grapefruit. I think it's definitely true to its name. It looks like the inside, the meat of a grapefruit. And it seems wet enough, as you can see. It looks wet, feels wet. So that's a good one too. All right, my last one that I got a sample of is one that I've been meaning to get a sample of or just go ahead and get a bottle of for a long time. But I've been afraid it's too close to my favorite brown, which is the Diamond Tobacco Sunburst. But this is KWZ Honey. It's sort of like, if you're going to get a brown ink, this is sort of like one of the ones that people get is KWZ Honey. It's a super popular color, well loved, has gorgeous shading. So I figured up I'd get a sample and see if it's different enough for my other browns to give a chance and get a full bottle of, or if it's too similar, I don't need a bunch of colors that are just a shade off or anything. And it does look like honey, I'll tell you that. It is almost like it's got some green to it. It's like a greenish yellow brown. A lot of colors going on there, but that's what it's like to me. And do us a big swap. There we go. Get a couple darker dots to see our shading. And put that aside. I'm going to have colorful fingers at the end of the day. Already we're getting pretty colorful in that hand. And it does look like honey, and I think I actually have Diamond Tobacco Sunburst there. So we'll see how close those are when they dry. All right. KWZ Honey. And we'll give that one a go. Once again, it feels like a wetter, nicely lubricated ink. So I'm sure it'll be a joy to write with that one. And I love brown inks, but sometimes you got to pull the reins back if you need to. All right, then on to our first bottle of ink that I got is a Robert Oster ink. This is my first Robert Oster ink. I'd never had any Robert Oster ink before, never sampled any before, and I've been meaning to. I know they're good inks, but this is my first one that I've gotten. Robert Oster, a drink for your pen, and fountain pen ink, made in Australia. Supposed to be sort of colors of Australia, but this one is actually a Vanness exclusive. So they do exclusives for retailers. Vanness has exclusives. Pen Chalet has exclusives. I think Endless Pens has exclusives. They do exclusives for everybody. I think Colt Pens has some exclusives. So this is one of the store exclusives for Vanness, and it's called Charred Hickory. So I just talked about loving brown inks. So I figured up if I'm gonna choose a Robert Oster ink to get, might as well get a brown one. And I love that idea of Charred Hickory. It just sounded like a good name and a good ink for me. So let's see what this thing is. I think it's supposed to be like a reddish brown, which will be good. And I can ink a lot of these up for the holidays. So more to come on my December or end of November currently inked, but I'm sure you will see some of these inks make an appearance. So yeah, like an orangey red ink. I didn't get it too saturated there, but we'll go back for some more. There we go. Oh yeah, definitely looks like wood. I like the name rings true. And we'll do some more for our swatch card. I think that looks good. It'll be interesting how it looks in a pen, I think, too. But there's our Charred Hickory. Very evocative name, I like it. So, I'm ready to use that one. That one will probably almost definitely be in a pen for December. And then the last one is another one that I've been wanting to get for a long time and been looking at, but always just talked myself out of. And Fountain Pen Day was just a good excuse to pick up a bottle because it was in stock and it was ready. And it's another Akkerman ink. I have SBRE Brown and I love it. And I've always been looking at Delfts Blauw, but it's just too close to like a Pelican 4001 or something like that to me. Just from what I've seen in like Swabs and stuff. It's just kind of a basic blue ink, but it's supposed to kind of be like the ink on like Dutch china or you know, decorative plates and stuff like that. You can kind of see like the cracked sort of look to it. But Delfts Blauw or Delfts Blue by Akkerman is the other one that I picked up. And it comes in a beautiful sort of unique box. And it's in their beautiful bottles with the marble on top. So we'll get to look at that. You get this styrofoam off. There you go. You can see the marble up top. Akkerman. Delfts Blauw. Get some ink in the top there so we can swab it. And yeah, do I need another blue ink? Absolutely not. Am I always going to buy another blue ink? Probably. Oh, and we forgot our Charred Hickory. Sorry about my handwriting, but I'm just going fast at this point because we're running out of time. All right, last ink in the good old Akkerman bottle. Fills up nice and full, so I don't have to worry about going too deep and get my fingers too blue. But I think this is just going to be a nice, calming, beautiful shade of blue. A blue that leans on the purpley side. See if any sheen comes out of there. And then our last swatch card. Just blues and browns are my thing. I just love a good blue ink. Love a good brown ink. Alrighty. So definitely sort of leans on the purpley side. But I still think that's absolutely beautiful. I don't know how unique it is, but I've just always been wanting this shade and this bottle of ink, so it was time. Akkerman Delfts Blauw. I'll go ahead and label it so I don't get mixed up. All right, and then some quick close-ups, and we'll see how things dried here while the Delfts Blauw takes care of its business. So first up, we have the Matcha ice cream. Definitely going to be good shading. You can see that right away. Goes from like a yellowy, light yellowy green to more of a dull darker green, you have some black on the edges there. So that one's going to be a good one. The sepia, nice, flat sepia color. That's a true sepia color, what I would call a true sepia color. It's a brown that almost is black, or a black that has brown in it. And that one's going to be fun to write with, I think. Might not be for everybody. KWZ Grapefruit is sticking with that grapefruit name. Right now, when it's dry, the camera makes it look a little more orange, but to my eyes, it looks very red. So it might be out of the running for my orange ink, but that's a lovely color. A nice and readable, dull sort of red, orange, red. KWZ Honey is beautiful, as expected. Lots of shading, you can tell. It goes from that darker, woodier, sort of duller brown, goes to a light, yellowy, gold, green, brown. Charred Hickory also has a little bit of shading. Just a nice reddish brown. Looks like burnt hickory or charred hickory. I like it. And then our Delfts Blauw is still drying there. Here's a swatch for honey. Swatch for the matcha ice cream. Very matcha. It's a good matcha color. It looks like matcha, but it just might be a hair too bright. I'm not sure. There's our sepia. Looks like sepia. Grapefruit. Looks like grapefruit. Charred hickory, which has a little black sheen, looks like, if it goes down heavy. And the Akkerman, can't tell if there's much, maybe around the edges there's a little bit of pinkish sheen, but I don't think it's a sheening ink. I think it's more of a shading, sort of calm blue ink. And so I'm happy with those. Those are all very usable. I'm trying to see the difference between honey and tobacco sunburst. I think honey may be a bit brighter, brighter and a little bit yellower than tobacco sunburst. So it might be worth picking up a bottle, and it's different enough from this BRE brown that you can see over there. So there are my ink haul, if you can call it a haul, for Fountain Pen Day. Let me know if you got anything for Fountain Pen Day, or if you've heard of Fountain Pen Day, and if that's new to you, hopefully you can partake for next year. I will be doing a review of the pen I ordered. As soon as it gets here, I'll ink it up, probably with one of these inks, and or one of my Christmassy inks that I plan on using. And so that's to come. So if you liked this video, or want to see more videos with fountain pen content and ink and pens, paper, anything like that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to see more videos. I come out with new videos every week. I'm trying to settle on days for that. I think I've kind of settled right now on Wednesday and Friday. But that's always subject to change if needed. But I do have content coming out every single week, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos. And, you know, give a like or leave a comment, help support the channel, and get fountain pen content out there. So appreciate you for watching the video. Hopefully this was fun and gave you some colors to look at. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.